Hello and welcome to the viewers of this video. This is the Orange Fan here, bringing you another entry for the episode Recap and Thoughts category. This video will be dedicated to the B segment of episode 42 of The Loud House, Job Insecurity. We begin this segment with Vanzilla pulling up in front of the IT office that Lynn Sr. works at, previously shown in A Novel Idea. Almost all of the Loud siblings are in Vanzilla at the moment. Lily is the only one not present, and she is absent for the entirety of this segment. Lori comments that their dad must have forgotten to bring his computer with him to work, figuring that he must have been in a rush out the door after making breakfast sandwiches for all of them. And Lenny volunteers to go into the office to give the computer to Lynn Sr. When Lenny enters the office, there's a different worker at the desk where Lynn Sr. usually is, but Lenny mistakes the worker as her dad after having plastic surgery. The worker clarifies, though, that Lynn Sr. hasn't worked at the office for 3 weeks now. When Lenny relays this information to the rest of her siblings, Lisa figures out that, or remembers that 3 weeks ago was roughly around the time of the Take Your Kids to Work Day. Yes, that's right. Take your kids to work day, not take your daughter to work day, as the case was in A Novel Idea. And the Loud siblings fear that the way they acted on Take Your Kids to Work Day may have led to their dad getting fired. And they're wondering where he's been going then for these past 3 weeks. Lisa reveals that she placed tracking devices on their parents, and we see that she's also placed tracking devices on her siblings as well. So, using the tracking device, they're able to find Lynn Sr. is at another fusion cuisine restaurant, this one being the Aloha Comrade. Looking through the window, they see that their dad is doing dishes, and they're surprised about this because their dad doesn't like to do the dishes normally. And so they're back at the Loud House now, and they're trying to figure out what other jobs they can find for their dad, because they decided that as a way to make it up to their dad, they'll try to find him a new job that he actually enjoys. And they give a couple of suggestions. Some of the siblings do, mostly within their particular interests. But Lisa points out that their dad's skills lied in IT work, so it would be wise to find another IT job for him. So they end up sending an application, or they fill up an application for their dad and send it to a place, an IT place that's hiring. And they eventually hear back from them, and they're interested in meeting Lynn Sr., but they're worried about if he doesn't get the job and thinks that they will have gotten his hopes up for no reason. So they think that maybe they should impersonate their dad to ensure that he will successfully acquire the new job. So we see a few of the siblings impersonating their dad in a trial run or test runs, but it doesn't go so well, and they're trying to figure out who they can find to imitate their dad. And then they happen to hear Mr. Grouse, their neighbor, mockingly imitating their dad while he's frustrated about something. But they decide it's better than nothing, and they request Mr. Grouse to do them a little favor. He declines, but then they try to bribe him with some of their dad's lasagna. He says he's willing to do it for two lasagna dishes. So with the deals having been made, they the siblings realize they quickly have to teach Mr. Grouse about computers because he takes some of the phrases too literally. Like he thinks you actually use a boot for booting up your computer or taking out the trash on your computer or opening a window. So we have a montage where we see the Loud siblings are training Mr. Grouse how to be an IT worker. And we see more of them, those similar names like Chip and Mouse, just to name a few examples. And eventually, it looks like Mr. Grouse is all ready to take the job interview on Lynn Sr.'s behalf. And later on, he returns back to the neighborhood afterwards, and Lisa apparently put a tracking device in Mr. Grouse as well, although she pretends that it was just a lucky guess. And Mr. Grouse plays a trick on him. At first, he makes it seem like he didn't get the job, but then he revealed he actually did. And now he wants to have some time with the lasagna dishes. And the siblings decide they'll tell their dad the news. So what happens is when Lynn Sr.'s preparing to leave for the Aloha Comrade, the siblings are already in Vanzilla and offer to drive him to his job. While Lynn Sr. tries to reveal that he got a different job than the IT office he was originally at, the siblings say they already know, but he's confused when they take him to another IT office, and the siblings explain that they got him this new job because they felt bad for having him get fired from his previous one. But Lynn Sr. clarifies that they didn't get him fired. He quit on his own accord. And the reason why he was at the Aloha Comrade is because he wants to pursue his dream job of becoming a chef. And doing the dishes was part of the trial run or the test to build his way up to being a chef. And that's why he was doing it. And the siblings feel bad because it feels like they messed things up for their dad again. But Lynn Sr. assures them he understands that their hearts were in the right place. He says they just have to go back to the Aloha Comrade and it'll be all fine. But then the siblings revealed they ended up quitting that job, had Lynn Sr. quit the job on his behalf. We then see a flashback which shows Lola giving the restaurant owner some choice words. We'll just leave it at that. And the siblings say they can try to convince the restaurant owner to let Lynn Sr. have his job back. So they rush to the Aloha Comrade, and the restaurant owner is actually one of Lynn Sr.'s friends, one of the members of the Royal Woods Minivan Society from Fantastic Voyage. It's Sergey. And Sergey is having a lot to do. He has a lot of orders to fill, but he only has so many clean dishes that he can use. And when the siblings they arrive and they try to persuade Sergey to give Lynn Sr. his job back, but Sergey refuses to do so. And the siblings plead some more, saying how it was their fault and that they make their dad's life miserable. But Lynn Sr. quickly puts a stop to them putting themselves down, saying that they don't make his life worse. They're part of what makes his life so great. And after they all share a heartwarming family moment, Sergey actually is moved by this, saying that he can't refuse to give a job to a man with a nice family. So he's willing to give Lynn Sr. his job back. Lola is very excited about this, but Sergey recognizes Lola's voice as the one he heard over the phone, so he panics, but it causes him to fall over, and he ends up hurting his cooking arm. According to Lisa, he has to not move the arm around for for a few weeks in order for it to properly recover. And Sergey sadly tells Lynn Sr. that it looks like he'll have to shut down for a certain amount of time until his cooking arm recovers. But Lincoln has an idea, and we see that the Loud siblings actually help Sergey and Lynn Sr. They all help Sergey to fulfill his orders, and the siblings, some of them are playing the role of waiter or waitress, and some of them are cleaning the dishes and drying the dishes so that they'll have more dishes available for all the orders. And it turns out that, the patrons of the restaurant, the customers are happy with the results. And it turns out Lynn Sr. was the one doing the cooking, and they're happy with whatever meal Lynn Sr. came up with. And Sergey has been trying a sample of this meal himself, and he's very impressed. He says that Lynn Sr. has already proven himself to be a chef, and he's already decided to promote Lynn Sr. to being his co-chef. And he wants to bring Lynn Sr. out to where the customers are so he can introduce the customers to the one responsible for the meal they're eating. And the segment ends with Mr. Grouse still at the IT office job that he got on Lynn Sr.'s behalf. But it turns out that the Loud siblings neglected to tell him what log off a computer means. Now, this segment stood out because back before the segment actually aired on TV, a few of the staff members had mentioned that there was going to be a teeny tiny change in the show as of this segment. Now, maybe some of the staff members might have worded it in a way that made it seem like it was a bigger change, because I've noticed a few viewers thought that there was going to be a big change, and they thought that they got hyped up for nothing. So maybe that was a different choice of words from some of the staff members, because at least from the staff members I read when I was looking at social media, their different social media accounts, they only mentioned it was a teeny tiny change. And yeah, that's what we got here. Like, Lynn Sr. has a new job. He's now a chef, and that's his dream job. And yeah, like they said, at least the staff members I saw the news from, it was a teeny tiny change. It does change the status quo, but it's not as significant of a difference compared to what happened with the Santiago family in Relative Chaos. So, but again, it's a nice way to show that there are serialized elements in the show. And Lynn Sr.'s cooking, or being a chef, that has been hinted at before in previous segments. Fed Up was actually a pretty noteworthy example of leading into mentioning Lynn Sr.'s interest in cooking. We had a few other segments before that showed Lynn Sr. cooking, but I feel Fed Up was the one that brought that more into the forefront. And this one definitely, well, of course, yeah, this one showed us how it was Lynn Sr.'s dream job, and well, he gets to have his dream job now. It kind of reminded me of a novel idea where we saw that Rita works as an assistant at the dentist's office, but her dream job is to be an author and to make a novel or write a novel. And yeah, seeing that Lynn Sr. was able to get his dream job in the show, I'm hopeful that we'll get to see a segment that brings back attention to Rita's dream job of being an author. And given that they did so for Lynn Sr., I have confidence that eventually we'll get a segment where Rita will make some progress with her dream job. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for that. And it was nice to see Sergey again because he's another of Lynn Sr.'s friends, like we saw back in Fantastic Voyage. So it was nice to see a little more of, the friends of the parents was a nice touch. I did like that we got to see Sergey a little more. And I could understand why he was unwilling to let Lynn Sr. have his job back after Lola left a bad impression. But after he saw how much Lynn Sr. and his kids, Lynn Sr.'s kids all cared about each other, it showed he's a reasonable guy at heart. When he saw that the Loud family really do mean well, he was willing to let Lynn Sr. have his job back. And hey, he was willing to promote Lynn Sr. To co-chef pretty quickly after seeing how Lynn Sr. demonstrated his skills. So yeah, Sergey was pretty reasonable in this segment. And it was nice we did get to see him fleshed out a little more. Now, as for the whole conflict about the siblings worrying about getting Lynn Sr. fired from his job, this was another good example of, again, they were portrayed in a sympathetic light, which I thought was a good thing. Like, yeah, they ended up causing some problems and complications for Lynn Sr. for jumping to conclusions when they really should have had their facts straight. But as Lynn Sr. himself recognized, they really did mean well, and they were just trying to help their dad and show their appreciation to him. So I appreciated that. It was shown that the siblings weren't portrayed in a malicious light, and when they thought they were responsible for getting their dad fired from his old job, they wanted to make an honest effort to make it up to him. So I did appreciate that. It was nice to show the siblings causing a conflict, but they weren't portrayed in a bad light about it. They were shown to be very sympathetic and good intention, or having good intentions about it. And, well, Mr. Grouse, the siblings teaching Mr. Grouse how to use a computer and the computer terminology. I got a good laugh out of that because that reminded me of something my brother and I and a few of our cousins had to teach some of our older relatives how to use a computer. So yeah, that brought back some fun memories of that, or good memories of that. I got a good laugh out of that. And let's see. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, that's about all I really have to say about the segment. I did enjoy it. I thought that it was a nice way to bring some change to the status quo, even if it was only a minor change. I got a few good laughs out of Mr. Grouse's part in the segment, and it was a good way to show well-meaning and good intentions and how that can cause problems if you jump to conclusions, even if your heart's in the right place. And as for which segment I prefer more, again, for me, that's actually kind of middle of the road because I actually don't have a problem with the A segment, even though I understand why some people might take issue with the A segment. So, yeah, I think this one's a tie for me. I enjoyed both the segments very well. And there you go. As of this video, we've now discussed both segments of episode 42 on this channel. Take care, and until next time.